Morning, guys. It's Monday, April 27th. Hopefully, everybody had a really good weekend. I did. It, it was kind of a nice breakaway from school, if I'm being honest. Hopefully, the next few weeks go fairly quickly for us. I know this hasn't really been easy doing this whole remote learning thing, but I think we can do this. We only have let's see, 4 weeks left. So let's bear with it. We can get through it. Anyway, it's Monday and it is a B day. So lucky most of you, all you have with me today is math. So last time we were together, we're still talking about energy, how to configure energy. We talked about converting watts to kilowatts. And then the last time that I had you guys for math, you had to do the chart that you're looking at right now, which was figuring out kilowatt hours. And today we're going to move on to the next page and we're going to talk about reading electric meters. So a certain number of times a year, you have somebody that comes out and reads the meters on your the electric meters on your home. And if you can locate that in your house, and maybe with mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever you live with, take a look at it and just see, if you learned anything from this little unit that we're doing. Just check it out, because it's kind of interesting to see, how much energy you're using. And it's really especially important for when you move or when you live on your own, to be watching how much energy you're using, because the more energy you use, obviously, the more expensive your bill is. So anyway, so today we're going to look at reading electric meters. So I'm going to read from the top here and give you an idea of how we do this. And once you follow these directions carefully, it really isn't too difficult. And then I have like 6 problems on the next page that I'm going to have you do for me for today, and that'll be it. So first of all, I want to point out over to the right, whenever there is like a new vocabulary word with this book, of course, it gives us the vocab over at the side. So the meter is an instrument for measuring and recording rate of flow, or rate of flow of energy that you're using. Okay, so reading electric meters. You can read your electric meter to determine the number of kilowatt hours used. Read the dials from right to left. Read the number the pointer has just passed. Take the lower number. Okay, so there's some directions in here already for us. We're going to read the dials from right to left. Okay, so from right to left, we're going to start here and work our way backwards, even though this is the number that we're going to get when we come to the end of reading these. Read the number the pointer has just passed, which will make more sense when we get down here, and then take the lower number. So let's start here, because see how it says start here. We're going to move from right to left. So if you'll notice, we've got a dial here. Okay, so it goes from 0 to 9. So not exactly like reading a clock, but we start here at 0 and it goes all the way over to 9 and then starts again. Okay, so take a look at where the dial is pointing. It's just past the 5, not quite to 6. Okay, so what it tells us is that we need to choose 5 because 5 is less than 6. So we haven't quite got to 6, so we're going to use the number 5. Okay, our answer is right here, so we're going to use this as an example. Okay, so in the ones place, there should be a 5 because we didn't go all the way to 6. Okay, then we're going to go to the tens place. And notice how the dial, it looks a little bit different. We start here and it's going around this way. So it's counted, it's backwards. You notice that? Okay, you're going to notice that it changes every other one. So the ones place and the hundreds place look very similar, and the tens place and the thousands place look very similar. Okay, so only thing you need to remember, though, is to choose the number that is less than where the dial is at. Okay, so choose 7 because 7 is less than 8. We're not going to go all the way to up to 8. We're going to go with 7. Okay, so always go with the smaller number. So over here we went with 5. Over here we're going to go with 7 because it's the smaller number. You just have to be careful that you're watching to see where the smaller number is. Now here we had to go back that way. We had to go counterclockwise. This way we're going clockwise, okay? All right, so on the next one, in the hundreds place, we're gonna choose 6, because notice how it's halfway between 6 and 7 here? We're gonna go with 6 because it is the smaller of the numbers, okay? It's the smaller number, so we're gonna use 6. So the 6 is gonna be here in the hundreds place. And then finally over here in the thousands place, it's between 8 and 9. 8 is the smaller number, so we're gonna go with the number 8, okay? So if we read this carefully from right to left, in the ones place, tens place, hundreds place, and thousands place, and we put those numbers together correctly here, we would get 8,675 kilowatt hours. Now, remember I showed you an electric bill where they calculate how many kilowatt hours you've used, and then they multiply it by however many cents they charge per kilowatt hour. So that can give you a good idea of what you might be charged there. Okay, so we're going to try a little bit more because they've got another little bit of a rule here for us. So even though the pointer appears to be exactly on a number, read the next lower number unless the pointer to its right has passed 0. Now here's where it gets a little bit trickier, I guess. So let's start here. This says to choose 0. Now notice it's between 0 and 1, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and choose 0 because 0 is obviously less than 1, okay? So that one's easy. Just go with the number right before it. Okay, it's right between 0 and 1. We're going to go with the smaller number, which is 0. Okay, so now here's where this rule up here comes into play. So if you'll notice, that dial is right directly on 2. It's on 2. The pointer to the right has passed 0. Okay, so then that tells me that I have to look back over here. This pointer over here has passed 0, right? 1 is bigger than 0. So that tells me that I have to keep the 2. Okay, so on 2, it's on 2. The pointer to the right has passed 0. So we're going to keep that 2. Let's go over here to the next one. It says choose the lower of the 2 numbers for this one. So take a look. It's between 8 and 9. That's not quite on the 9. If you'll notice, it's not quite there. So we're going to go with 8. Even though it's super close to 9, you have to go with the lower number. So 8 it is because it's between 8 and 9, and this is the smaller of the numbers. All right, so now on this one, let's take a look. It says that you see that this dial right here is on 4, but the pointer to the right has not passed 0. Okay, so take a look. This is the pointer to the right. It has not passed 0. Okay, it's got a little ways to go before it gets past 0. It is not past 0, so we're going to go with the smaller number. Okay, so 3 comes before 4. So now let's go back over to this one because I think maybe I got confused or was confusing with what I said over here. When we were on 2 and we had to look to the pointer at the right, because it was on 0, right? We decided to go with 0 because it was between the 2. Because it was on 0, it hasn't passed 0, we're going to go with the smaller number. We're going to keep that number 2. Okay, now this one is on the 4, but the pointer to the right has not passed 0. It has not gone past 0, so we're going to go with the smaller of the 2 numbers. We're going to stick with 3. Okay, so these saber problems I think might be a little bit more confusing, but I have faith that we can figure this out. My suggestion to you is just to really pay close attention to going with the smaller of the numbers. If it's directly on a number, then you just have to look at the one to the right and see, has it passed 0 yet? If not, then if the pointer if the pointer to the right has passed 0, then you're going to go with the lowest number. If it's not, you're going to go with the number, or you're going to go with the number that's on. If it has not, then you're going to go with the number lower. Okay. So I'm hoping that's not going to be too confusing. Okay. give it a shot. I'm going to be pretty liberal, which means I'm not going to hold you to, I'm not going to make it too difficult when I'm grading this when it comes to these ones down here. I know this one is a little bit tougher to understand, but I really just want you to pay attention to picking the number that is the lowest if it's in between, okay? And do your best on those ones that stop if you're not sure about whether it's past 0 or not. Do the best that you can with it. All right, really, honestly, an assignment like this is mostly about your ability to follow directions and really pay attention to what you're doing with your numbers here, okay? So here's what I would like for you to do, is I would like for you to do 1 through 6. And in fact, I might just do 1 right now. I'm not gonna write anything down over here, but I'm gonna talk out loud through number 1. But I would like you to do numbers 1 through 6. You can do that on a Google Doc, or you can do it on a piece of paper and then just take a picture and send it my way. Okay, but I am going to walk you through this one just because I think it's not a bad idea to do so. Okay, so let's take a look here. Remember, we start on the right. Our pointer is between 0 and 9. I'm going to go with the number before or lower. Now, obviously, 0 is the lower number, but this has rotated all the way around to 9, right? Just like a clock, it's gone all the way around to 9. So let's imagine that this is 10, okay? So we've gone 10 times around. The lower of the number, or to the left, is going to be 9. So my number right here should be 9. Now, this is directly on 4, okay? So here's that rule back up here. If it's directly on a number, I'm going to look at the dial on the right. This has not quite passed 0, right? So if this were a clock, it hasn't gone past the 0 all the way 1 rotation around. So what I'm going to do, if you remember the rules up here, oops, the pointer to the right has not passed 0, okay? So notice that was on 4. I'm going to go down to 3. It is not past 0 yet. So I'm going to go to the smaller number, the number before it. So this has not passed 0. It's on 4. I'm going to go back to the 3 because it's a smaller number. So right now I have 9 in the ones place. I have 3 in the tens place. This one right here, notice how it's not all the way on 6 yet. There's a little bit of space in between there. It's not quite on 6. I'm going to go back to the 5. So I have 9, 3, 5, and then again over here, it's not quite on a number here. It's between the 2. I'm going to go with the smaller of the number. So I'm going to go with 8 here. Okay. So I used 8,539 kilowatt hours. 8,539 kilowatt hours. So I just gave you the answer to number 1. So just make sure you write that one down, okay? You try numbers 2 through 6. Make sure you send me a message, or have parents send me a message if you're really just totally confused with this and you need a little bit of help. But just do the best you can with it. It's really just sort of paying attention and following those directions. So that is all I have for you guys today. And tomorrow I will see you for English, biology, and US history. Have a great day, guys.